Escape, es, Escape from Tarkov did an oopsie. It seems like the CEO had enough, and so do the players. Short explanation: I played Escape from Tarkov a little bit. I think I have 500 hours in it. I don't. It's not on stream, so I don't know. But 500 hours, that's maybe it. And I didn't. I only played aggressive on factory because the map is so small and you can do it. I can do it properly because of the angles, and you just move in, shoot in corners, and kill everything that's there. Mostly I was being a rat on shoreline. That was my main map, looting all the stashes, and that's it. Looting the stashes and the small village, and then getting out, and that worked okay. Okay, yeah. I didn't really play the game. I Playing the game made me so nervous, so anxious because of you can spawn in a map and you can die within a minute if someone else spawns close to you, and that's just, yeah, not mine. But also it not my thing. I was I rather plays. I would have played Escape from Tarkov all the time if it would have been single player. Would have played it for thousands of hours, because being a rat and collecting stuff, that's my thing. So let's watch the video after this ramble for me.
Let me set the tone of today's video with a quote. Let me know if you agree with it. Here it is. Tarkov has done irreparable damage to the games industry. Everything needs to be a what do you call them? Extraction shooter. Those are the words of an
That I don't agree with that, because not everything needs to be an extraction shooter. The reason why so many extraction shooters are made is not because Escape from Tarkov is so successful at being an extraction shooter. It's because the higher ups want to copy the success, but they don't understand what it means to make a good extraction shooter. Because Escape from Tarkov is good at that. It's a good extraction shooter. The monetization is trash, and some things in the game are not fun, but it's a good extraction shooter. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of extraction shooters, but I would play them if they are really good and fun. I don't mind them. But the problem is not that every game has to be an extraction shooter. That's just like 5 years ago saying every game has to be a battle royale. That would have also not been true. That's like in the 90s, people would say everything has to be an RTS. No. It's just, just running after trends and failing at it. That's all that it is. You can just not do it and be successful. Look at Paul Word. Or, I don't know, other games. What was the game called again? That Asmongold lost so much, and everyone else too. Something 33. That game is very successful and not an extraction shooter. So no, games don't have to be an extraction shooter these days. They don't have to. It's you, the upper hires, who decide things have to be an extraction shooter to be successful, which is not true.
exasperated man. That man is from New Blood Interactive. He's the founder. His name is David Oshry. And while he does go on to poke some fun at himself, basically saying, I'm an old boomer, I'm not the target audience of this game, he did say what many people are actually feeling, that just like with the Battle Royales, we see yet another groan-worthy industry trend-chasing event where everything has got to be a bloody extraction shooter. I mean, even Respawn was making a Titanfall extraction shooter before.
By the way, the Titanfall extraction shooter, I think, could have been a success if it had Titans in it. Because, you know, Titanfall, Titans, extraction shooter with Titans, you know, freaking giant robots that you pilot. That's awesome. That's actually an extraction shooter where I think that's unique. That would work. It would work. I absolutely believe that that game would have worked. Now, the other thing, I don't even remember how it's called. Marathon. That game looks like shit. It's just a generic, boring, modern audience extraction shooter that doesn't even look good. It's in this, the style is. We have seen it so much, the same style of futuristic stuff that isn't futuristic anymore, because I remember the trailer where they was sitting in the cubicle and there was all this fancy RGB and yeah, futuristic. People's living rooms these days look like that. That's not futuristic. That's how people live right now. But people aren't as ugly. Yeah, not even the water in the game looked good. We finished doing water in the 2000s. Why does the water in Marathon looks worse than the water in the games from the 2000s? Think about that.
It was cancelled. Because hey, Titanfall can't be Titanfall. But recently, something happened to change this story a little bit. Marathon happened, but then Arc Raiders happened. And Arc Raiders is getting traction in a way that Marathon has not. And figuring out why, I came to a hell of a realization.
Wait, what? What game?
But then Arc Raiders happened. And Arc Raiders is getting traction.
Arc Raiders? Give me a second. Let's watch this.
There is no way to hide.
Oh, this looks beautiful. Of course, it's not gameplay, but this looks beautiful. This makes me wanna at least look at the game in terms of not vomiting in the corner because it's so ugly.
Kings.
Now this looks very interesting. This looks nice. So far this looks really, really nice.
Barons. Queens.
Even the desert looks good. They're interesting. I mean, it's a desert, so it's sand, but the sand is obviously over hills or mountain ranges because here's stone. There's a structure, there are structures. These are points of interest. There's something. So you already have interesting things in a desert.
We give them different names, but
This looks good. We are 21 seconds in, and this is already better than everything I have seen from Marathon. And I have made a 1 hour video on Marathon, just about the trailer. Well, 2 trailers or 3, and this trailer here, who doesn't have gameplay so far, already looks way more interesting and way more beautiful than Marathon. It's not even close.
They're all the same. Killing machines falling from the sky. This is our home.
This is a nice shot, and this looks great. This looks great. And the thing is, if it's an Unreal Engine 5 game, the game will look like that. Most likely. And that's the nice thing. We might actually see right now how the game looks. Well, of course, if you have a really good graphics card and a lot of RAM. But the game, this might be like how the game looks. And it's nice.
Is our home. Our best.
No, this also looks great because this is what we saw in the desert. So we are at that spot of interest, and everything here looks nice. I mean, not, you know, beautiful, nice, like a nice garden, but this looks nice. This doesn't make me want to vomit. This doesn't give me a brain tumor.
Bastion of resistance. This is where the brave meets the bold. We will not die in the shadows. We will face our fears head on.
Okay. Looks good.
Showtime.
Okay, gameplay. Okay, looks like it's Unreal Engine 5 because this looks exactly like the cinematic. This looks exactly like that. So the game looks good. Which already puts it at top of Marathon. If now the gameplay is good, I mean the character design is already better. Because it's more grounded in reality. Looks nice. I mean, it's a third-person shooter, right? But still, this looks good.
Watch it. Scout ahead.
That effect looks so nice. And also the flashlights. That looks great. I love it. I feel like watching the first time watching the trailer for Doom 3. Back in the day. Oh my god, I'm so old. But it feels exactly like that. Oh my god, oh, this looks so nice. Oh my god. I can't remember the last time I felt like this about the graphics of a game. This looks so nice. Like the light effects alone make me want to play the game just to see them. This looks nice. Oh, that looks so cool. Oh my god. Look at that. Man. Why again would anyone play Marathon if you can play this? I mean, seriously, why would I play Marathon? This thing alone makes it worth playing this game, I think. I mean, I'm just intrigued on, can we even destroy it? I mean, I would guess we can. And even if we can't, it would still be interesting because that thing roaming around, that would scare the shit out of me. This is amazing.
You owe me one. Perfect. Let's do this.
And here we see it really in action. This is, look at the size. This is, look at the textures, and this just looks nice. I just hate the motion blur. Will deactivate that, like in every other game. It's disgusting. And the explosions look nice, which it's Unreal Engine 5, so of course they do. Oh, you can partly dismantle it. Ooh, this is nice.
New contact. Breaking
Is that the Atari logo?
Southern Rust Belt.
They will never stop coming.
Jesus. Now this gives me War of the Worlds vibes from the one with Tom Cruise. Looks like, sounds and looks exactly like that.
Marks on screen. Calling for volunteers.
That is huge.
Enlist. Resist.
You know what's funny? This looks like a movie poster from the 80s. The aesthetics are also kind of, you know, 80s futuristic style. I really love this. This is great. This is, I think, the first trailer for a game in ages that actually makes me want to play a game. This is amazing. How did I not know about this? I love it. It coming, yeah. There's the Epic Store. It's definitely Unreal Engine 5. Okay. Back to the original video, why we are here.
in a way that Marathon has not, and figuring out why I've came to a hell of a realization. So, let's get the show on the road. Tarkov is an extraction game, but not all extraction games are like Tarkov. Extraction is essentially just this: games where a player enters a level, attempts to gather valuable resources, and then extracts those back to some sort of meta progression layer.
Yes, and Tarkov does that actually good, but there are so many layers to it that I think it's overly complicated and at some points, not everything. Maybe Escape from Tarkov is I you could argue that survival mechanics are too much for a fast-paced game, which is Take from Tarkov not really is, because of how the movement works. But yeah, this would be the thing that I'm annoyed by the most when it comes to Escape from Tarkov. The survival mechanics on top of everything else. That's just too much.
Tarkov fits that, but so does Repo, Lethal Company, and Helldivers 2. Each of those does well off the absurd, wacky comedy you get when you've got these messy little meaty things called human beings interacting in a group with a whole bunch of interesting systems. That's basically what makes the genre kinda cool. So what's different, then, about games like Tarkov or Marathon? Well, simple.
Look at this. Again, Marathon. This looks horrible. I said it in a video I did about Marathon. This looks like paint vomit. Yes, the hand is slightly less dark gray than the dark gray of the weapon. This looks just ugly. It's just ugly. This is just... Bleh.
Right? PvE and PvP. Tension stems from the potential for loss in both, but in PvE, it feels like a loss, while in PvP, it feels like something has been taken from you by another person, and that does not appeal to everyone, but it all...
Exactly. I'm one of those people. I would totally play an extraction shooter, like Escape from Tarkov, like I already said, if it's a single player. I don't need the multiplayer. Just put in AI that, I don't know, hunts me down or something that I can deal with. That's enough for me. I don't need the people. Because if you have people in it, you have cheaters in it. So they can ruin the game for everyone. In a single player game, you don't have that. You don't need anti-cheat. You actually save money. And you also save money on servers.
Obviously does appeal to a lot of people, because the tension is second to goddamn none. Anyway, the point is that, as Bungie probably noticed when they looked at their majority PvE Destiny audience, talk about Marathon, yeah, not everybody likes the PvP part, but this actually goes deeper. PvE games can naturally coexist. They're inherently more positive sum, but without players, a PvP game is dead. So, of course, our eyes roll at the sight of yet another PvP extraction game. We think they just seem like, oh, another game that's probably going to fail, so why even bother getting?
There's a good point. Yeah, another multiplayer game where that already doesn't look good, so that makes people not want to maybe not want to play it. And then if the game is not that good, then also people don't want to play it. You already have lowered the player base by half, by its potential half. And yeah, this is also the beta of this game already is dying. No, alpha. The alpha or beta, I don't know what it is. It's already dying. Like, on the first day, I think 6,000 people played. On the second it was free, and then it went downhill from there. So if people already don't want to play the alpha or beta, then why would people play the full game? If the game fundamentally is not good, not fun, why play it? Makes no sense. And personally, for me, just for the optics, I wouldn't play this game. Because I can't stand looking at it. Because I think it's that ugly. It's that ugly. It's disgusting to me.
Getting excited. Marathon invoked that feeling. Now, to be fair, part of that is just general, breached trust with Bungie, but a lot of it is just the big trend that we've seen this all before.
Look at that water. Wait. What game is that?
Battle Royale. But why is it that Marathon invokes that? Well, Arc Raiders does not. See, here's the thing. Both games just had alphas, but the responses to those alphas could not have been more different. Marathon's alpha lasted just under 2 weeks, and according to Paul Tassie's sources, it actually didn't go as planned. That's actually now true on multiple levels. So first off, it was to be a closed alpha, a closed test, but Bungie allegedly lifted the NDA in an attempt to counter the skeptical reception that they got to the reveal of their game.
And how did that go? The old man here loves this. That that didn't go as planned, did it? Oh, did absolutely not go as planned.
Now, going a level deeper, it's obviously a true alpha, not just a marketing exercise or a server test, right? And Paul Tassie's sources corroborate that it, again, is a real test of like game design and systems. So whenever players who have played the testing version say that Marathon cannot launch like this, they're literally correct. It can't. It's a true alpha. It never should be launched. Now, we all understand why Bungie responded this way, right? They were doing an alpha anyway. They had mixed reception, and they basically thought, seeing is believing. We need people to get footage out there. Just like, say, what EA actually did with Battlefield in a little bit of a way. But to go back...
Yeah, but if the game fundamentally is aesthetically unpleasant, I mean, Marathon is just as ugly as Concord. Let's just say it. It's as ugly as Concord. And then you pair it with being a type of game that already exists, but the other games are better. Why would people play it? Why? There's no reason to. This game looks, again, it looks unappealing. I think I've never heard anyone say anything positive about how the game looks. Or in general, anything positive about saying about the game ever.
To the story. Unfortunately for Bungie, a true alpha often won't make for an explosive marketing coup because
of course not.
It's true alpha. It's not going to blow people away with its polish. But even then, reactions have been mixed, and they fall into two broad camps. This is what matters. One, it doesn't have enough extraction shooter genre conventions to satisfy genre fans.
That's bad. That's really bad. If you want people of a certain genre to play your game, then the game should have the things that make out that genre, right? Like, you don't publish a jump and run game and there's no jumping and no running. You wouldn't do that.
And two, it doesn't have a strong enough hook to pull in non-extraction shooter fans. That's a little bit of a pickle, and those non-extraction shooter fans are in many cases going to be Destiny players. You know, the audience that Bungie actually has. And that is a rough situation for them. And while this is not some sort of huge rejection of the game, Paul Tassie points out there are hundreds of thousands of people trying to get codes, or there were, in the Marathon Discord. What it does is it sets a bad tone. And that is a bad tone that Arc Raiders just exploited. In a way, this is actually just goddamn tragic. So Marathon is effectively where Arc Raiders was in June 2023. It's a small-scale technical test designed to get feedback on the core systems and stability. But Arc Raiders then got the luxury of 2 whole years of iteration ahead of its full launch, which is, you know...
Yeah, Marathon is coming out this year, and it's still an alpha. That game can't... They can't fix that shit. They can't. They would need 1 or 2 more years. Just like Arc Raiders. And I want to play Arc Raiders. I do. I've seen the trailer. I want to play that game. Even the thing is, even if it is an extraction shooter, and I'm not into extraction shooters, but I want to play that game because it looked so fun. It looked so fun that I want to try it out at least. Now, if it's a paid game and not free to play, depends on how much it is. But overall, yeah, I want to play the game. I'm excited.
This year, Marathon, though, has until September. So not only did Arc have...
September, we have May now, June, July, August, then September. They don't make it. If the game is an alpha, in 3-4 months, they can barely get into beta. They can't finish that game in that time. The game will be broken. An unfinished broken mess. Well, they will probably release it in early access and then say, oh yeah, it's early access.
More time,
Smart
but
asses.
it also is able to meet those marathon criticisms head on. Genre fans get what they would expect. There is proximity chat, solo queuing, crafting, and that's only to name a few.
That sounds good. That sounds fine. Escape from Tarkov was one of... Wait. Did Escape from Tarkov had proximity chat when I started to play it? Or came that later? I don't remember. It's too long ago. I don't remember. But proximity chat in a game like that is really big. This can make and break a game, and in this case, it will make the game, because you can just communicate. Oh yeah, I don't wanna fight it. Just get some loot and get out. Just ratting. Just go the other way. Or team up. But that's really good. I like this. So far I haven't seen or heard anything negative about Ark Survival, Ark Raiders. So I'm actually hyped. This is one of 2 games that I want to play this year. This and 83, which is coming out at the end of the year. I think 4th quarter, when it's done.
Most importantly, the hooks for Ark have actually landed, where it's now not just appealing to the hardcore genre fans. And that's, I think, quite because it's third-person, post-apocalyptic setting. You're heading to the surface for 30 minutes, scavenging what you can, getting back underground before you're killed by other players or big giant robots. It's actually doing enough to hook in other people.
So it is that the giant robots roam around and... Yeah, this is nice. This is really nice. I like this a lot. I like this a lot. This is a fantasy that... Well, it's not absolutely unique, right? We have had that in stories, movies, etc. in the past, but that combined with seemingly good gameplay, good graphics, it looks fun. It simply looks like fun.
I think it helps that, I mean, my god, they have executed their vibe, their visuals, their sound, their graphic design. They've really nailed that. And the response to actually playing this game has been really positive from the people who've got access, especially in the streaming community. There's footage from Shroud, Jack Frags, and the other.
So the game isn't even out yet. And the people that play it already like it. So it's in a beta, I would guess. And the developers putting in finishing touches, while already have streamers promote the game by playing it. That's nice.
Others that are showing off essentially the best of what an extraction game can be. That you get emergent narrative moments of, taking on threats, negotiation with opponents, tense combat, all of that blending together with these photogrammetry built locations that look stunning, and a lo-fi 80s sci-fi aesthetic that they've absolutely nailed.
Told you.
That's strong stuff. But mostly, it's a traditional extraction shooter gameplay that's just been hyper polished and iterated on. And that makes complete sense, because technically, it really doesn't seem that this thing's changed much since the early footage in 2022. Obviously, behind the scenes it has, that's the whole point. They may look fairly similar to us as players, just comparing frames of trailers, but all those years of work actually went somewhere. And that's what brings us to the other marathon comparison.
Yeah, that's also something that Escape from Tarkov always had problems with. with every new patch, there were problems that came into the game or just weren't fixed. The game is just it it has limitations engine wise that are holding the game back, and I think they can't be overcome by the developers, even though they try. But yeah, so far I think Arc Raiders might over. If I, to be honest, if the game plays as good as it looks, it will overthrow Escape from Tarkov. Unless the on the business side they are even more fishy than Escape from Tarkov. But I kind of don't believe that.
Reveals going poorly. You see, here's the funny thing. Embark, the developer behind Arc Raiders, initially revealed it as a PvE extraction game, but they then delayed it to work in the finals, and then they pivoted Arc over to PvP after basically doing PvP playtests internally and them literally just having more fun. Now, I get that from their perspective, nice. But that was a bit of a bold thing. You told people it would be PvE, so it's not surprising that their re-reveal of that as a PvP game completely backfired. I saw goddamn rage everywhere back, June 2023. It was...
Yeah, personally, I would say just have two modes. One for PvE only, and one, with PvP. You can do that. It's just have the PvE side, the PvE version run on the computers of the players. It's not hard. That's literally what games did for eternity. And then have for the PvP parts are servers. I mean, it's not that hard. And people can switch between. Just do that. Would make you more money.
It's just that perfect mix of disappointment and anger. But it actually turns out that in video games, polish actually does make the difference. In removing PvE,
who could have guessed?
Took the thing that hyped people the most away. And that's the point where these two games diverge. Arc gets so much polish that it stands out beyond its genre, basically convincing people that no, this actually is worth paying attention to. Marathon, though, well, it gets an NDA lifted, revealing a game too early in development to stand above its genre. That's absolutely going to sting for the developers. I mean, just think what they've been through, being at Bungie this last while with all the chaos. But as much as that's true, we are skeptical.
The textures here look like placeholders. That's also a thing that annoys me. They look like they are just placeholders. Which, at the end, would be really funny if they are placeholders and getting replaced in a finished game. That would be so funny.
For a reason. And this is the big learning, because it goes deeper than just trend chasing. Nexon acquired Embark, of course being the Arc Raiders developers, in 2021. And it's easy to read the change to Arc Raiders as a, hey, make the game PvP, make more money, just like Tarkov, we're Nexon, money me now. Yeah, you could read it as that. But part of the distinction between PvP and PvE extraction games is that PvP creates more potential for interesting gameplay. That's basically just because it's hard to make AI so good that the AI can top the sheer chaos created by other players. That's also why Dave Oshry was kind of, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, mad about things. You see, that quote I was talking about at the top of the video, that was him reacting to Hidetaki Miyazaki from Software, and the fact that he really likes Tarkov. Yes, Miyazaki loves Tarkov. Talking about the Duskbloods, which is the new FromSoft game, he told IGN that the network functionality and the game design were particularly interesting, quote, in Tarkov, for example, so I'm basically paying attention to those elements as a creator and a fan of the game.
Wait. Don't tell me the Elden Ring guys are gonna make an extraction shooter. Wasn't Asmongold talking about something like that about a year ago or 2 years? If he was, well, it might come true. Not that. That would be some really, really awesome shit. God, what? Would they create a completely new universe for that? They could. They might would. Man. It's... That's cool.
So, yeah, basically, Mr. Elden Ring, Mr. Dark Souls, really likes Tarkov. And that's what he's bringing to the next game. So in one way, the Duskbloods has a similar inspirational lineage, this is where it gets wild, as something like Clair Obscura Expedition 33. That may seem wild, but hold on a second. It's the result of a developer who finds something compelling in the systems of a game that they love, and they want to see what they can do with that. That's what Expedition 33 does to Final Fantasy X. It's what Miyazaki wants to do with Tarkov. It seems to actually come from a genuine place. That may even be why could actually be pretty damn good. I think there's something noble in that, and perhaps, well, more so in convincing Nintendo to actually pay for that experiment. I'm sure they like the idea of having an extraction. Because there's also the industry component to this. Investors and publishers will think that they have seen this pattern before. By pattern, I mean this. PUBG was the first big battle royale game, right? But it was Fortnite that made it approachable and massively scaled it beyond the hardcore audience. So with that in mind, why did COD and Battlefield ram extraction modes in? Why are the big companies doing extraction? Why are ex-veteran AAA developers on the whole west coast of America all funded by random VCs to make extraction?
Because they want to be the next Fortnite. Of course.
Games these days? Well, the same reason, right? If PUBG is Tarkov, then we have not seen the Fortnite equivalent. And that's why there's so much money behind this genre. To you and me, it's yet more companies doing stupid trend chasing. It's another rush of just companies slinging minimum viable products at us. That's the big point. That's why we roll our eyes, right, at, oh my god, Realm Royale, wow, another BR, that's just what I need.
Oh, really?
And if you ask me, that's the difference between the highlight games of this video of Marathon and Arc Raiders. Basically, Marathon has went down the way that it did because it feels like a minimum viable product. It right now is an alpha in the truest sense, even though it apparently has got to come out in September. Arc Raiders does not feel like that. It does not feel like a minimum viable product.
Yeah, the Arc Raiders feels like a game that got finished. It's simple as that. It feels like a game that got finished. You know, give the developers the time to finish a game and you have a good product. Unless the developers, you know, right? How was that game called? Star Citizen? Wouldn't give that game money. But this game, yeah, it looks like developers had an idea. They wanted to do something, and they are at least somewhat passionate about it, and they put the work into it, and it's a good game. We just do that, and that's the thing. You can have multiple good games in a genre, and they compete with each other, and people might play several of those. Now that's a small percentage of people playing more than one extraction shooter, but they are there, and the how it's called, the competition between those good games will make each of these games better in the long run, because they are taking stuff from the other games and implement them into those, and work on ideas to make the games better.
Because we know what it looked like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we know that they've just relentlessly honed it. That doesn't feel like something that's just been shat out to try to capture some of a genre, and that's why, as players, we have responded differently. In a world full of skepticism and lacking in authenticity, the way to cut through, funnily enough, is to just be fucking earnest. And it seems that's what this game's managed to do. As much as the Arc Raiders feelings are good, I do want to be clear, it kind of feels like we're reaching a tipping point here. If only because we're now seeing non-extraction companies like, say, FromSoft and Bungie trying their hands at doing extraction games. Now, this might all be driven by the fact that Tarkov is finally releasing its, full version this year. Yeah, it's finally not a beta.
Wow.
And that means that it will act.
Wow. Since when do they develop it? I think the alpha came out in 2015? So 10 years of alpha/beta? Where they make all the money? Yeah, will be interesting what's coming after the 1.0. But I'm not playing it anymore. I'm done. I think I'm completely done with Escape from Tarkov. I just don't care anymore.
Actually be on Steam for the first time as well. So there's really never been a better chance to break out before that big incumbent ends up in Steam. Arc Raiders is appealing to the Tarkov audience by giving them a similar experience, right? They're, proximity chat, things that, say, Bungie are not doing. It's giving them the similar things, but in a new setting and with supplementary mechanics and movement and all.
Yeah, that's also a part. The Bungie game is gonna be a safe game for the modern audience. So already you neuter your audience and the amount of potential people playing it just because of that. That's not a good move.
All of that make their game experience stand out. Marathon, though, is trying to reach the console audience that made Destiny a success, and to do that, they're trying to do an approachable take on the genre. Hence them disagreeing, right, with the genre hardcores and things like proximity chat. That means they cannot count on the hardcore audience. They're literally not trying to appeal to them. But big picture, we might be at the crest of a wave here. If you account for pandemic shutdown, we're at the point where the funding that started so many different extraction shooters is finally bearing fruit. That means a bunch are going to be coming out. But if these massive games do not see the expected investor returns, perhaps as fast as investors want them, and it turns out that Tarkov really is the ceiling of the extraction shooter, well, then maybe extraction shooters will end up like flight sims or hidden object games, where, well, there's tiny dedicated indies and, one or two big players in the scene with not that much in between. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, just like Battle Royales. You have this one big game, which is Fortnite, and a couple of smaller ones. I guess PUBG is still played, and there are maybe I don't even know other battle royales that are still online. To be fair, the same will go with extraction shooters. You will have Escape from Tarkov, most likely Arc Raiders. Those are gonna be the big players, and I think especially Arc Raiders, because that game already looks like more fun than Escape from Tarkov. And it also looks like it runs better. But it's Unreal Engine 5, so I might have problems, because for some reason, the Unreal Engine doesn't like AMD graphics cards.
If that happens. It very much could be the case that hunger for the next version of the Battle Royale was misplaced. That may be what they want, but that really, right, if you think about your Fortnites and a lot of those games, what are they doing? Well, they're pivoting towards user-generated content. They are going for the business model of tomorrow. It's not a business model that I like, but it's what they're going for. Meanwhile, you could say these trend chasers are trying to replicate something that happened, what, 8 years ago? Which may
Jesus
not be
Christ.
the best play for today's market. And speaking of plays for today's market, well, Xbox just went and made everything expensive, including video games. So Nintendo have done it, Xbox have done it, everyone else is going to do it. So if you want to know what's going on, watch this video next.
So, I guess I have to look into Arc Raiders for the future. Yeah, this video. I'm not really sure what this video was actually about. I mostly spoke. I was mostly talking about Arc Raiders and how much I like it and want to play it. And that of the things that were actually said in the video. Yeah, so much for that.